Hey guys, and welcome back to Z3 Cubing. Today I'm going to take a Rubik's Cube and try and make it as light as physically possible. A standard Rubik's brand cube weighs about 100 grams. Now this is far from feeling heavy, but it's also certainly not the lightest that you can make a Rubik's Cube. Comparing this to some more modern speed cubes, the Volk Elite M packs in a whole 96 magnets to aid with the turning compared to a whopping 0 on the Rubiks, and it weighs about 77 grams. Clearly there have been some optimizations made. In fact, decreasing the weight of a cube has actually been one of the biggest improvements that we've seen in cubing hardware recently. The idea being that once you make a cube lighter, it takes less force to do a single turn, and thus hopefully the cube will turn faster. This is the Weilong WRM 2020, which has half the number of magnets, and it weighs only 74 grams, and this is the recent GAN 11M Pro, which weighs just 63 grams. I believe this has got to be the lightest magnetic 3x3 that's ever been made, correct me if I'm wrong. So this has got me wondering, if the world's best speed cubes are also among the lightest, then how light of a Rubik's Cube can we make if we don't care about performance at all? So that is the question that I want to answer today. Can I make the world's lightest 3x3? And if such a great speed cube weighs 63 grams, can I make a cube that weighs half of that, say 31? Let's find out. But first, to get the obvious out of the way, we do have some requirements. For one, of course, it has to be a functional 3x3 Rubik's Cube. Preferably, it does not break when we try and touch it and turn it. Two, it has to be about the size of a standard Rubik's Cube, so somewhere in the realm of 55 or 57 millimeters. We can't just take out the Maru Nano Cube and call this the world's lightest Rubik's Cube at under 3 grams. That doesn't count. It has to be full-sized. And three, just for the sake of this video, I want this cube to be made out of plastic, just like a normal Rubik's Cube, so no paper 3x3s or anything. I think people have actually made those before, and that might actually be the ultimate answer to this question, but we'll save that for another video. So to get started, I'm going to take one of the worst, cheapest 3x3s in my collection, which is this, I guess, tic-tac-toe cube right here. It's actually the same cube on the inside as the Sudoku cube that I've shown off in a few of my worst cube videos. And I have explicitly mentioned just how minimal this cube is on the inside, how they tried to get away with using as little plastic as possible to hold it together. So I think it should be a pretty good candidate for this job. Now, if we go ahead and put it on the scale, we can see that it's starting out at a weight of 67 or 68 grams, which is already pretty close to the GAN 11M Pro. Obviously, we are going to be removing a lot of excess plastic on this cube though. Wouldn't it be fun if we could start with the $65 cube, tear out all the magnets, and cut out all the extra plastic inside of this? That would probably end up being a lot lighter, but unfortunately that's just too expensive. So let's just take this puzzle completely apart and take a look at the different kinds of optimizations that we can make. Of course, the biggest thing that we're going to be doing in the end is just cutting out all the extra plastic that we can. So basically on the face of an edge or the face of a corner like this, we'll cut all of that out, and maybe even on the sticker face, we might also cut out some there too. But first, let's take a look at the most complex part of the mechanism, the core. Now, as you would imagine for such a cheap 3x3, this core is pretty much made as cheaply as possible. It's pretty much one solid piece of plastic that has 2 screws on these opposite ends, and the other 4 pieces are held in by these little clips here that are just plastic. So I'd imagine that this is probably already lighter than your average 3x3 core, but that's not good enough for us. We really want to go as light as possible with this 3x3, so I'm going to take this core completely apart and we can discuss our options. Okay, so apart from the centerpieces, which I imagine are necessary, let's see, this core weighs about 3.84 grams, so we want to get lighter than that. Now, I would like to use some 3D printing, but I imagine by the time I print a replacement strong enough, it would probably be about as heavy as this. So that's when I turn to this mini Rubik's Cube here. If I want a core that's light and strong enough, well, surely there'll be a core inside of this little cube right here, and surely it'll be pretty tiny. And sure enough, it looks pretty much identical to this one, just smaller and a lot lighter. So I figured all we have to do now is adapt this somehow to fit onto these bigger centerpieces. So if we just take these little ones off, what I've actually done is 3D printed a little tiny and really light adapter. So what we can do is actually stick this through one of these bigger centerpieces, and then it will fit right onto this little tiny core. And if we actually get the scale back out again, we can see that the core itself is about 0.8 grams, and then add on 6 times the weight of these little pieces right here at 0.1 grams. That's a total of 1.4 grams, or less than half of our original core. So let's get 3D printing. And here we go. Here's our newly engineered core, much lighter than before. So let's go ahead and put it back together and see if the pieces actually fit. Let's fit an edge in here. That's looking pretty promising, so let's see how it goes. So I didn't have a lot of confidence that I'd get the sizes right the first time, but it looks like I got it pretty much perfect. In fact, maybe a little bit too perfect because this cube is super stiff. So I was thinking that we might have to redo those pieces, but I guess it turned out just about perfectly. So let's do a bit of an intermediary weigh-in. At the beginning, it weighed just under 68 grams. and now it's just under 66. So we saved about 2 grams. Yeah, we're like halfway through the video, so I guess I'm gonna have to pick up the pace. So basically my next idea is we're just gonna take every single piece and cut out all the plastic that is unnecessary. All you really need is the basic cubic outline of each piece, as well as of course these little tiny parts of the mechanism. As you can see, any face that doesn't actually contribute to the structure can pretty much be punched out. They've already done it on a few of these pieces. Like as you can see, they already don't have plastic on some of these sides. So basically we're just gonna go around the cube and say cut a hole in these 2 faces here, cut a hole in these faces here, and heck, maybe even cut a hole in these stickers here, and then just use a sticker later to cover it up. I actually went ahead and did this with one edge piece just as kind of a proof of concept, and sure enough, it holds together just fine after putting giant holes everywhere. These holes on the outer faces of the puzzle, well, we'll just put a sticker over it, and you'll never even notice. So this is going to take a very long time, so let's go ahead and get started. And here it is. Here are all the pieces finally finished, all hollowed out with as much plastic removed as possible. You can see an edge piece here and a corner piece here. And honestly, it looks really cool. It looks a lot cooler than I thought it would be. Here's the core. I'm definitely surprised at how nice all these pieces turned out. Now, unfortunately, another thing that really surprised me was just how long this entire process would take. In fact, that time lapse I just showed you was about 9 hours of work just to model all of these pieces. So I definitely kind of underestimated that, but hopefully it will be worth it in the end. Another thing that made it really difficult is that these pieces are made of really low quality plastic, so they tend to break a lot. In fact, I actually broke somewhere around like 10 edge pieces, as you can see right here. Luckily, I did have a spare cube that I could swap out pieces with, but yeah, it was pretty dang difficult. Well, that's unfortunate. I guess I just jinxed it because one of these edge pieces just broke. As you can see, the little part that holds on to the center of the cube just shattered. It wasn't even the last edge that I was trying to put in, but for the time being, this is a really awesome looking cube. Just look at the inside. You can see all the way through it. That is incredible. Now let's not forget the original reason that I made this video, making the lightest Rubik's Cube possible, and man, this thing is light. In fact, the GAN 11M Pro feels like a brick compared to this thing. Now obviously my original plan was to put stickers on this thing, but to be honest, I think I like it better without the stickers. I mean, I could basically cut out some pretty large stickers and pretty much glue it at the corners, but that would take probably a couple more hours at that point. And to be totally honest, I don't have a couple more hours to make this video. So I think I'm happy to just end it off here with a final weigh-in. First, we do got to make sure that it is functional. So let's just do really carefully 1 or 2 turns. There we go. And there we go. I'm purposely avoiding the piece that is broken right now, which is over here. But yeah, it definitely functions. Let's go ahead and get out the scale and see how much it weighs compared to the GAN 11M Pro. Remember, that one was 63 grams, and we're going for half of that, so less than 31.5. So moment of truth, here is the scale. Of course, we do have to include these 2 little tiny pieces that just broke off. That is technically part of the cube. We will have to glue them back on or something. And it is 30.35 grams, which is less than half of a GAN 11M Pro. We'd have to have 2 of these things to make 1 of these. So yeah, I am super happy. I was hoping all of that work would pay off, and it totally did. Of course, if you were to put stickers on it, that would probably be like a gram or less, so it still would be less than 31.5. And yeah, this is just a really awesome looking cube. I'm not going to put stickers on it because it just looks amazing. Maybe I could even custom cut stickers to just be kind of hollow stickers. That would be cool. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. As I mentioned, this took a ton of work, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. And let me know down in the comments what kind of crazy mod challenges you want me to do in the future. Like maybe making a paper cube that's even lighter, or maybe making the world's heaviest 57mm cube. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.